Pools and Surfaces Distributor presents our podcast series, Podcasting with Friends, with host Gamma Garcia. Creating synergy, creating the future.
Hi, welcome to today's podcast. Today we have the pleasure to be with Taylor Baljon with Speck Pumps. Thanks for being here today, Taylor. Thanks for taking the time to...
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. I know it's been a busy day for you, so thanks again. So let's get this podcast started. You want to tell us a little bit about your company, your role in the company, how long you guys been in business?
Sure. So Speck Pumps originally is a German company, actually, and we've been at this for a while. We got started in 1909 with one Daniel Speck producing pumps in Nuremberg in Germany. We're actually on our 5th generation now, still a Daniel Speck, still producing pumps in Nuremberg, Germany. But in the intervening more than 100 years, we've had a couple of different evolutions. I would say some of the highlights would be, in the 1960s, one of our claims to fame is we came out with the very first plastic pool pump. In the 1970s, we, for instance, came out with the very first swimjet system, and we've been at it with different designs ever since. In terms of our location here in the United States, my father actually brought that to the United States from Germany in 1983, so we've been at it here for about 40 years, producing everything that we sell in the U.S. market.
And you guys are based out in Jacksonville, correct?
Based out of Jacksonville, Florida. That's
right. So you've pretty much been involved since the whole process. I mean, since the beginning of.
I got started with summer work as a kid. Yeah, when I was 15 on the assembly line, and I just never really quit.
That's great, man. How's it been for you? How's that experience been for you as far as growing up with, just being involved with the whole operation of Speck?
It's been great. I was always a little bit afraid about going into family business. I've heard all these horror stories about guys not getting on with their fathers, and instead, it's actually been probably the best decision I ever made. Mm-hmm. I learned to know my father in a way that I never would have otherwise. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity.
And as far as the company, the way that the products, you're very knowledgeable with your products, but I'm sure that the learning curve from when you started in the assembly line to the point that, hey, I'm ready to...
And you're right. To ultimately know a product, you really do have to build it yourself. Exactly.
So nobody taught you that. I mean, it was something that you picked up along the time that you worked for Speck. So that's a great story, man. Thanks for sharing that. So my next question, when it comes to swimjet systems for swimming pool applications, Taylor, what do you see Speck as the manufacturer fitting in this category in the pool industry?
So, most people that have heard of Speck pumps will have come across us through our BADU jet, our swimjet systems. That's probably the primary way that we're known, at least in this hemisphere. And in regard to swimjet systems, we were the first to make it, as I alluded to earlier, but we also represent something like 90% of the market.
On swimjet systems?
On swimjet systems,
okay.
And very much in the United States, the dominant force in that admittedly small sphere.
Right. So that's great. And since you guys, I've heard you saying that you guys came out with the first BADU swimjet system back in correct me if I'm wrong, 1980. What you said?
1978.
1978. So along all these years, and you guys have improved the systems to the point that they love this type of
course
systems in their pools.
Well, and there's a limit to that, though. I mean, you can create a system that works for the market, that keeps it happy, but you can't. With that 90% kind of market share, you can't get complacent either, right? With that kind of market share, we have to be working on, and we have been working on, all sorts of incremental innovations on this product over time.
When you say innovations, what type of innovations? Any new products you guys have developed lately?
Well, thanks for asking. Actually, so I say incremental, but our latest innovation was really a leap forward in terms of product, and that's the BADU Jet Turbo Pro. At the beginning of COVID, we actually took our entire system back to the drawing board to try and figure out how to build a better mousetrap.
Right.
One of the things that people had commented on our systems was, that, well, it's fine and it's practical, but I have to plumb this in. And so what we did when we went back to the drawing board is we figured out a system that didn't require plumbing whatsoever.
Plumbing. So, oh, wow, that's great. So this new system does not require any plumbing at all?
None whatsoever. In fact, so what it is basically you've got a large box that you shoot directly into the wall of your pool, and that has effectively a boat propeller inside.
Efficiency-wise, Taylor, is the same as your other systems?
Vastly more efficient. We're using the same 4 horsepower that we would be using in our standard system, and instead of producing 400 gallons per minute, we're actually producing 1,500. So roughly 4 times as much flow.
That's great stuff, yeah.
Which, it's all doable because if you're not banging the water through pipes and pumps and sending it across the yard one way or another, you can keep it all enclosed in that box, you keep it much more efficient, and you actually, at the same time, you keep it a lot quieter too.
Yeah, and you can just move it around the pool, or it's a stationary, once you put it in one place?
Stationary. Okay. You have to shoot this directly into the pool.
Yep. Gotcha. That's great stuff. I'm really looking forward to start promoting that product.
Thank you.
When did you guys come up with this?
So we came out with that in November this past year, and so we sold the first couple dozen, but now we're in a position to really mass produce them.
That's great stuff. And it's been produced here in the States?
Right here in Jacksonville, Florida.
There you go. It's all made in the USA. Let's support the made in USA products. Taylor, the next question I have for you, that's great information, by the way. I'm really going to look into that new product, and we're going to start promoting it, and I'm looking forward for that. The next question, Taylor, being a Speck, the leader manufacturer of this swim jet systems, can you tell us how's it been for you guys to keep the company where you guys are nowadays? I mean, you guys are like on top of the pyramid. I mean, how do you guys stay up there with, I know it's been a long journey for you guys, but not only with the exceptional customer service, with the exceptional, equipment that you guys manufacture, but you just want to share with us a little bit of that?
I hate to say it, but these days, part of it is really simple. You just buy as much as you possibly can. You look at whatever your targets are, and these days, people don't ask about prices anymore. As long as you have the right thing and you can deliver it on time, they're going to buy it. The whole price conversation has really gone out the window.
Right.
I've found, and as long as you have the product, you have it in stock, and you have that level of service behind it, then you can really make some waves in the current market. So we've just been absolutely ordering, frankly, the hell out of everything. To the point where our manufacturing facility is absolutely stuffed, but you have to do it these ways because one after another, all of your inputs continue to have problems. I mean, I'm sure you understand in distribution. One widget after another, and you just can't get it all. So, we are ordering something like 2 to 3 times what we would normally order to deal with the current crisis.
Do you think that supply chain disruption is going to continue for this year? How do you see that that's going to affect our
Certainly
industry?
For the rest of this year, absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be sometime next year before things really start
before things will start getting better, you think?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all with all the manufacturers, and hearing that you guys are stocking up with raw materials and what you guys need to manufacture your products. It's great. That's the only way to keep up with all the needs that the market has right now. So. Yeah, we haven't had any issues as far as supply with you guys, so that's great. It really makes it adds a lot of value to us, as a distributor. So it makes it very important that we have the support from a manufacturer like you guys. So it's truly appreciated what you guys do, and I'm sure all of your distributors are going to be grateful for that. So it's truly appreciated on our end. Taylor, the next question is, can you also give us like an overview for people that they're watching the podcast and they might be interested in getting to know more about your products. Can you just give us an overview of the other line of products that you guys also manufacture?
Sure. So I mean, we do all kinds of different pumps, and if you want to think about it conceptually, I'd set up our business in quarters roughly. So a full quarter of our business is actually industrial. So that's anything from plastic extrusion, vacuum pumps, to medical products, like heat transfer oil pumps for bakeries, all sorts of crazy stuff in that regard. All of that product is actually produced in Germany at our factory over there, and then sent here in the United States. In our factory in Jacksonville, we build everything on the pool side, so that other 3/4. And I'd say a quarter of that is devoted simply to swimjet systems, like we talked about before. Another quarter would be, basic residential pumps, and then a full quarter would be larger commercial applications.
Commercial pumps, yeah.
So we go up all the way to 60 horsepower.
Right.
And really our big move in the past 5 years has been to set up a situation where we have proper stock of all those products.
Right.
So call my bluff. Pretty much anything between 10 and 60 horsepower, we're looking at just a couple weeks lead time to get your
A
hands.
couple of weeks to get a 60 horsepower pump, and that's great. So that really cuts down the time from, when people look for this type of products, you guys are like right there, the first choice.
Exactly.
So that's great stuff. This next question, we do export, and we get questioned this all the time. People keep asking us, hey, what's up with the new regulation in the States on variable speed versus single speed? Is Speck gonna continue making single speed pumps?
So
do you want to answer that question for the people, for the audience that they're in Latin America, the Caribbean, that buy stuff from us?
So obviously, I get that same question all the time from all of our export markets, and understandably so, because the rule that was created was relatively convoluted and a little bit confusing, and so I'll get into that point a little bit. Basically, the essence of the rule change is that most any pump that's over 1 horse, but under 5 horse, will have to be variable speed on the single phase side.
Right.
Okay. Everything that is 3-phase is unaffected. Anything that is below 1 horse is unaffected. Anything that is above 5 horse is unaffected.
Gotcha.
So there's actually a very considerable sphere that can remain single speed.
Right.
Now, we can also still produce products. I can produce standard 1.5, 2 horsepower pumps. We still build those in Jacksonville, Florida for our export markets.
Right.
Those have no problems at all as long as they're outside of the United States. And here's an important point. U.S. territories are also part of that DOE rule change. So Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, all those places, even though they're not necessarily falling within everyone's mindset in terms of the contiguous United States, they're definitely still affected by that rule change.
By that rule change.
Yep.
Yeah. So we get questioned this a lot. That's why I wanted to have the opportunity to ask you now that you're part of this podcast, because there's a lot of confusion going on out there, and Dan, thanks for the clarification. Sure. on that end. The next question is, what do you see the future of the energy efficient variable speed pool pumps?
Right. So, I did mention that, we'll be still producing all these single speed pumps, but, a significant portion of them is variable speed and will remain variable speed for the foreseeable future. So, just like we've been doing our innovations on the swimjet side, we've been working on a project as well in regard to variable speeds. Now, one of the challenges with variable speed with your customers out in the field, those homeowners, a lot of the time when you have a variable speed pump, one of the things that customers seek is that full control over it. If they understand that it can be changed, they're going to want to hook that up to automation. Now, given the current supply crisis, it's often very hard to find a whole package of product from just one manufacturer. So it can be hard to find, a TriStar to go with your Omni,
exactly.
or an IntelliFlow to go with your EasyTouch. So what we've been working on and what we just released is actually in our variable speed pumps is what we call a universal automation control board. Now, that sits in the top of the drive, and it actually allows our pump to speak natively with anyone else's automation system.
So it'll communicate with any brand, any automation system in the market.
It doesn't care, and that's what makes it such a great service pump, because you don't have to worry about whatever backyard you're going into. You know that this is going to be able to communicate with what you have on hand.
Right. That's great stuff.
So
that's really going to change the game in the field, you know.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of the homeowners nowadays, they want to have the facility of, you know, having the automation system and controlling everything from their phone and things like that. So Speck being part of that, you know, program now, I think it's going to add more value to your products.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, that's definitely interesting. Any other topics that you would like to talk about today? Any ideas? Any stories you want to share with us today?
Stories.
I remember the one day that we were talking about. I ran into a show. I ran into you in a show, and we're talking about. I don't know. I asked you a question about, hey, this BADU system, the swimjet systems. Somebody had asked me a question. You know, I'm paying, you know, X amount of dollars for a treadmill, and you know, a couple of $1,000, and you know, it's good for workout. And you gave me the analogy of the BADU jet systems, you know, being comparable to the cost of a treadmill.
Yeah.
As far as I don't know how you know.
Well, that's effectively
the analogy
what it is. I mean,
yeah.
you know, if I sort of, you know, shuttle back into swimjet systems for a while. You know, like most of the time when you hear about these things in someone's backyard and you're in a situation where you're going to sell one of these swimjets, it's not, most of the time it's not because the builder has gone and, hey, you want to buy this swimjet system. Usually it's, you come at it from kind of an odd angle where, you know, you'll get a job where the customer says, hey, I want an 80-foot pool and I want to do laps. And you take one look at their backyard and you
right.
say, shit,
it's not going to happen.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so what swimjets allow you to do is basically make that pool much more flexible. So you can take it down to a more manageable size, but still let them do that exercise that they're looking for. You know, effectively what a swimjet is at the end of the day, like you mentioned, is a treadmill for your pool.
Right.
And that's really where we're getting with this newest Turbo Pro system, in the sense that on that app that it comes with, you'll be able to control exercise programs, that sort of thing. We want the swimjet to be able to do everything that you would expect from your basic treadmill at the gym.
Right. And here's another question. Contractors ask us sometimes, hey, does the Speck offer, you know, like on-site training when they install, you know, this swimjet systems? Do you guys offer some sort of support on site?
So
when let's just say someone buys a unit, they don't know how to install it, or how do you guys handle that when you guys get the phone call from?
So my best case scenario, what we like to do is get customers to FaceTime us, or if you have WhatsApp, we can do that as well. But to get that direct visual on what the customer is up to. Now, it's obviously a lot easier to get FaceTime or WhatsApp done than it is to send somebody, you know, off into the Caribbean somewhere.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, God forbid with COVID regulations and whatnot, although I think we're most...
If they let them travel,
yes.
Depending where they're going to,
so, that's definitely our preference. That's definitely the most cost-effective way of getting this done. And we have a whole team of guys on customer service that literally do nothing else but stare at people's swimjet jobs. Because, you know, when you go into one of these jobs and you're looking at 4 or 6 inch pipe, you know, it can be a little bit intimidating for somebody that's, you know, only ever done residential, and it definitely feels good to have your hand held a little bit.
Absolutely. Another question we get asked all the time: all of your equipment, can you guys make it also in 50 hertz? Can you guys do 50 hertz? There are some islands in the Caribbean that don't do 60 hertz.
Right. If you go to Jamaica or Barbados, obviously you're going to be dealing with
What is the procedure for that? You guys get the order, they're all special order. How does that work?
They all have their own part numbers, but you know, if you were, for instance, to tell me that, you know, I need, you know, 1 horsepower pump, 50 hertz, I can easily lead you down that trail.
What's the turnaround time for that, for something like that?
So those lead times are a little bit longer, but with the move towards variable speed in general, you know, variable speed doesn't necessarily care about 50 or 60 hertz. Right. Some of our models can actually handle both.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So, you know, for instance, in fact, the one that runs your little pool over here is our 1.1 variable speed BADU Pro. That's a 50 and 60 hertz pump that runs at both 110 or 220.
Yeah.
So regardless of where you sell that in the Caribbean, you can be confident that that's going to run your pool.
That's going to run the pool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And that's those are the questions that we get asked all the time. So thanks for doing some clarification on that. Also, we get asked this a lot, parts for a Speck.
Everything is stocked in Jacksonville, Florida. We have everything on hand all the time. So we are 4 hours up the road from you, worst case scenario.
Right. So any of the components from any pump or any BADU jet system, if someone wants to order additional parts or something breaks down, they can just
Day or two.
Right.
Yep.
Day or two.
Everything is on hand.
Right. And once you guys can order it from us, and then we'll put the order with you, and
of course
we'll overnight it and get it out to the Caribbean or anywhere where it needs to go.
Not a problem.
That's great stuff. Taylor, so I think it's time to start wrapping up today. Thanks for the explanation about what you do. I just want to tell you that you guys are being a great support for a company. The support we get from you guys for the Caribbean, for the Central South America markets, it's been phenomenal. Thank you very much, and we're looking to grow the business as we go.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here and spreading the word about Speck pumps.
And what if we do another episode with you?
I'm totally down.
Let's get more technical. I know you got some technical stuff to show us about, so let's get more technical in the next podcast.
Sounds like a plan.
I just wanted to share the experience of working with Speck. For our customers overseas and Central South America, that Speck is a great company to work with, great equipment they make. So, and it's all made here in the States. So, it's been great.
Great.
Thanks again, and please thank your team and let them know that we're grateful for what you guys do.
Of course, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Reach out, touch faith.